Paul.
Not sure what it is.
Well, just quickly flip them up. Paul Newfield provided a background document on the financial, the payments that Republic Services has made to Benton County, and compared it to 24 and 23, and it's looks pretty consistent with what we would expect. And thanks to Paul for putting this document together.
Posted our record.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks very much. Are there any comments that came in through the mail? Anybody receive anything? Okay. Thanks very much. But we might go through this agenda a bit quicker because we have 20 minutes available for public comment. Since we're already actually starting conversations beyond public comment right now, in the event somebody comes in during the period that we would allow public comments, we would okay with the committee. I will just ask them to go ahead and comment at that time. So we will try to expedite the meeting in this fashion.
Actually, is this a place where I can ask a question about some of the document information? There's some of the information, like the DSAC Community Outreach Subcommittee, and the people attended with Julie, but it says there's all these concerns. Are we
Minutes?
Well, is this? I'm not sure. This was part of the little stuff that you handed out. Is behind the notes by Mr. Davis. It talks about the DSAC Community Outreach meeting on September 4th, and it says concerns included in that report and everything else. I didn't know if that ties into what.
I think this is an update from the Education Committee's, Education Outreach Committee's last meeting. So that'll probably be addressed when we get to the updates from.
Oh, that's the meeting engagement down there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was understanding.
Yeah.
No, the ones behind, I didn't see.
It says DSAC subcommittee.
Oh, okay, I.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've talked about that during.
I missed that, yeah. Sorry, I missed that part. It's been a while, I apologize.
Not a problem.
The top line there.
Hot up there.
Okay, does any other people have anything? Okay, well, I'm going to ask for us to move to item number 3 at this time, and then we will go back if we need to public comments should individuals come and want to present themselves. Item 3 is an update on LE 2427 by staff. I assume that's you.
Yeah, with the landfill expansion, so I think as everyone knows, the planning commission denied it. So Republic Services has appealed it, and so now it's going to go to the Board of Commissioners. I am pretty sure the dates that they set are October 22nd and 23rd. More information will be coming out. I'm not 100% on those dates. It'll be at the fairgrounds. And yeah, from there, if whatever direction the commissioners decide, whatever decision they make, it can be appealed again at that point. And in that scenario, it would go to the Land Use Board of Appeals.
Okay, so the planning committee, was there any comment on their vote on this or not? What did they denied it? Was it partial denial, partial vote, or unanimous or what?
It was unanimous.
The unanimous vote of the planning committee, but not the county commission. Okay. So
yeah, so the commissioners haven't weighed in.
And the planning committee makes a recommendation to the commission.
Well, they make the decision, and then that decision is now getting appealed.
Okay, so the decision was made by the planning committee, and now that decision has been appealed. And now the board, the county commissioners will review that, we think, on or about October the 27th.
Second, I think.
Second.
I think so.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, if I read it correctly, the commissioners will review the record first, but they will also have additional testimony, so that's kind of important too.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, and that's what the 22nd and 23rd will be as for
Additional
testimony.
testimony has it already been requested at this point, or is there a notice out to the public for testimony at this point or not?
I know one press release went out about the status of things. I don't recall if that, if the dates were communicated, that it's going to be the October 22nd and 23rd. But one will be going out again ahead of that.
Due to the nature of our committee, it's probably good for us to make sure that information on when people can send in comments is publicly available.
Yeah. When I find out about that, I'll ask and then I'll email the DSAC.
Thank you very much.
Did you say the meeting is at the fairgrounds? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
I think they're expecting a lot of people. So,
I just want to make sure I heard that correctly. It's at the fair.
yeah.
County Fairgrounds, correct?
Yep.
What is the method for announcing it to the public at large?
There'll be a press release. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be in the paper. I don't know what the requirements are, if they have to notify people that live within a certain vicinity of the landfill as they've done in the past. I would assume so, but I don't know that to be true.
Is there any notices on county websites that you typically?
It'll be posted in Benton County.
Yeah.
But I thought everybody was on the community directors list, because that's where I get all the time in that email. The community director sends out an email, so that's where I learned about quite a bit from it. So I'm not sure if everybody else is doing.
I don't know about that, community director, you know.
Well, the community director, if you can sign up for it, then anything pertinent about it, they'll email out, you know, where it's gonna be and so forth like that. And so it's kind of.
Where's the info about where to sign up? Yeah, that's what I'm just wondering how widespread it's announced to the community that's here in the whole of Corvallis and the county.
I think the intent is to publicize it. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So you're going to let us know, and then you're going to let us know when the session is open for comments. And the means of communication, we're not totally sure exactly how that's communicated out to today, but that's less important than letting us know at this point. And we, of course, are free to send information to others to use those jobs. Because nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Okay, thanks very much.
I assume that's written comments as well as public testimony.
Yeah.
It was all the previous testimony for the plant before the planning committee, does that have to be
We'll review the record of, right.
It would only be, I think, for new commentary. I don't think you want to repeat things that are already in the record. But I don't really know the exact process that the county commissioners go through. So, thanks very much. Anything further on update on Million 24,027 from me? No. Okay. Okay, next would be the review of the draft of last meeting's minutes, which we have. I hope you've had a chance to take a look at it. I have one modification that I've offered today, and that is on the meeting minutes, it says the disposal site advisory committee May 14th. It actually was July 9th. Well, with that change, are there any other adjustments in these meeting minutes that anyone wishes to bring up? Hearing none, I request you guys to consent to approve the minutes that was written with the adjustment of the date to July 9th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes, so thank you for doing this. Okay, next on the agenda is fire safety of the landfill. Landfill is myself and Paul. You want to say anything, Paul?
Yeah, I want to, I don't know if I want to pass this around. This is what I'm going to be referencing, so I don't know if we want
It'd
to.
be nice to, either that we can read it and then we can just pass it in. We can add it to the.
Yeah, I got a copy for the community. Yeah, so I can read this. Basically, I want to find my other copy. So after our meeting on March 5th or March 26th, we had a lot of internal conversations about potentially moving forward with different options of security slash fire watch, fire person or whatever, kind of kill the proverbial two birds with one stone approach. And we picked it up to area and there was conversations about that. And of course, then the CUP happened and we kind of got involved with handling all that stuff. And in that time, we had our fire expert testify at the CUP hearing. And we had also requested a public information. We had a public information request to Dare Rural Fire because of statements made during the CUP hearing that there were 20+ fires at the landfill and which is not true. And so I just want to clarify some things before we, before I read out some stuff. So we asked the Dare Rural Fire to provide information, and in June we asked this information. It took them a while to get this information to us. We didn't just till August, I believe. And we asked for any fire responses from 2013 to 2025 that did not include PRC or dispatch personnel for other calls. The data was gathered from run sheet, call logs, electronic reporting data to filter out all the motor vehicle fires, pole fires, etc. None of the fires or other calls at the PRC location are included. 8 of the 19 calls listed on the attached chart were confirmed fires requiring suppression efforts. The 11 investigations were responded to as working fires tying up resources until they proved to be false alarms, typically caused by methane stacks. And as everybody knows, as they say methane stacks, but it's the old candlestick flares. So overall, during the testimony and everything, there were statements that there was 20+ fires. The fact is there are 19 calls reported, 11 of those 19 not being fires. But reports of fires to people driving by and seeing the open flame of the old candlestick flares. And number two, one of the hot loads during the there were 2 in 24, one due to a hot load, the other one due to the open flame of the burner, which had been eliminated with the enclosed flare. We no longer have those open burning flares. And there were 0 in the previous 7 years going back to 2017. So if you go ahead, if you want to pass this around or look at it, this is basically what was provided by Dare Fire. And then there are only 8 actual fires responded to by Coffee Butte in the 13-year period by their own records. So the statement that there were 20+ fires was false on its face at the CUP. And basically, I think, we have addressed the hot loads that we encounter. We feel that there's not a 0 chance, but a very minimal risk that fires will take place at the landfill that would get out of control as we maintain a very small working face. We do not have a working face of the size that was previously done. That previous fire, was it 99 or 93, whatever that was, where basically the whole entire landfill was just a working face. They didn't cover it. So we have daily pictures that we record that make sure that we're actually covering the working face with either soil or tarps. And we have those pictures are taken by our working staff every night before we close to ensure that all the trash is covered. And we just all the way down the line, we just feel that at this time, it is not, what's the best way to say it? We are not inclined to add any kind of watch or fire suppression or fire monitoring systems at basically at the time. So that's kind of where our position is right now. We just don't feel that there's not enough data, and according to the rule of fire, there's only been 2 in the last since 2017 last year. So we just don't feel that is the need to have a support or any kind of suppression or any kind of people in place.
What about during a red flag warning? The fires haven't taken place during the red flag warning yet.
Right.
Which I think is fortuitous.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of the one out of 100 that could be a real problem.
I would argue that I'm more worried about the surrounding vegetation and not the land, not a pile of dirt and pile of soil. I'm more worried about the trees on the hills and in all the properties surrounding us. I'm more worried about that's vegetation.
You know, I don't care what you're worried about. I'm just asking, during a red flag warning, wouldn't it warrant to have more eyes on the landfill?
I worked at
It is a ignition source. It's a known ignition source.
no.
Yes, it is. If you have fires.
I worked at a landfill that had red flag warnings probably 2 weeks in a row. We never had anybody overnight to stay there with 70-mile-an-hour winds, 100-mile-an-hour winds, and never had a fire on that landfill caused by the landfill.
Well,
There's
we're lucky.
show me where landfills fires have caused extenuating fires outside.
Not yet.
There you go.
All right. So I'm just saying, I think, it would be prudent during red flag warning, especially at night, to have the security of somebody watching to see that a fire doesn't spread. And this particular landfill is just, I agree, it's next to that vegetation. The current situation is it's surrounded by vegetation.
And I've been to landfills that are a lot closer to vegetation than Coffin View. So, I mean, we can agree to disagree, but that's our position. We're not gonna institute anything at this time.
Okay. Quick question.
Yes.
Of the fires that were there, excluding these flares, were they always at the base, or were they at some other locations?
They did not, the only one that they indicated was the landfill, the one in 2024 last year, where there was a hot load that we thought was put out and someone recognized it, and we were there within 10 minutes and knocked it out. We, based on even the Adair fires during our meeting with David in March, they basically said they have a great working relationship with us. They have no problem, no issues with us. They didn't see any concern. Of course, that changed during the CP hearing where they completely reversed course and completely. But what I'm saying is they did not provide the information for any of that stuff.
Most of your activity, I know, is at the base, so
Right.
I see be more potential there. but
Yes.
just-
So
Just
let
seeing
me,
if it-
let me see if I understand this. Currently, of all the calls, there were 8 actual fires that required Adair to respond during the last 8 years.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, since 2013, 8 fires.
Okay, so that's the last 12 years, so about a little under 1 fire a year.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're seeing. And those are fires that are occurring not during the normal operating conditions, not normal operations.
I can't speak to anything behind. They did not provide any more
Well,
information.
what I'm trying to say is that the fire department wouldn't be coming unless either you called it, either the public called them, or they came because somebody called them.
Correct.
Yeah, so these fires, we may or may not know whether they occurred during operation, but they did require the services of the fire department.
Yes.
Okay, and the Republic's position is that in spite of the fact that there is a fire approximately once a year, maybe once every year and a half, no action is going to be taken.
Correct. At this time.
Okay.
We reserve the right to revisit it as we move forward.
So that's the position that the public has. Okay, committee,
I have a question. When they say investigation, did somebody have to come out and investigate?
Yeah, they saw a fire. It was basically the open flame, the old open flame flares that we had. It was just like a candlestick with an open flame. We got rid of those. They're now enclosed flares, so there's no chance of that.
Does this include the the compost,
No, it's stated without not within PRC.
Okay, so, I had a few notes myself on this, and so I kind of brought up the question at the beginning. We actually brought up this in October of 2024 to ask if something could be looked at. And then in February, there was an update, and at that point, the Dearborn Fire Department identified some opportunities for improvement, which included some means of looking to see if there is a fire during non-operating periods of the landfill, you know, so that's like maybe they would come by, or there'd be some observation of some kind.
Was this the letter from, I received this last week, and so I didn't have any basis. It's the one that Bailey sent me. It says dated September 20th.
Well, we.
October 10th. Is that the one you're referring
to? In April. Fire safety update.
Right, oh, I'm talking about one from last
It
year.
was from your fire department.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, so now, and we had the joint meeting, which was a very cordial meeting at
I agree.
the Republic,
Mhm.
Coffee Central Office.
Yes.
And that's when, at the same time, there was a presentation, a summary provided by Mr. Davis
Mhm.
on it. And the summary said that, I'm gonna read from that summary, which is in our minutes already from,
Mhm.
I believe that the primary concern appears to be after hours fire detection. I think I have that, did you make copies of that? Or not? Okay. I sent.
Sorry, which one?
I sent the notes by Mr. Davis and some notes of my own.
There's it here.
Do you have a copy of that?
I printed what you just
It says below the notes were by Mr. Davis after the 326.
Yeah. Notes reported by Mr. Davis, everybody should have a copy of it.
Mhm.
Okay, so then, along those, it just talked about, of course, the fires are reported by citizens passing by, and that was our only means of discovering those fires. And that, we talked, further discussion focused on fire season, which we're in right now. And we were talking about this back in March before the season, saying that that's really when one's most worried, not necessarily when it's raining,
Mhm.
but when the season is dropped. Okay. And then we drove down, we learned that the fire department provides red flag days, or somehow that becomes available to be noticed. And that might be a means to trigger some kind of that. And then after that, there were action items, so one of them was the dairy, you mentioned that they did provide some data.
Mhm.
And they did not necessarily provide some data on current fire detection need. This is where I can tell from what you just said.
Right.
So you got part of the information, you got the report on what they had visited. But you didn't get any report on what options are available to you.
Yeah, we just asked for all calls in 2013 to the landfill.
So I'd say that a DRRT hasn't provided any information on ways to detect.
No, they have not provided anything.
And then you just commented on the discussion of after hour coverage. The answer is that the public does not wish to do that.
At the time.
Okay.
Now I can amend that and I can go back and say, hey, can we talk about red flag days?
You might, it would be.
I can talk to them, but let's see what I have to pick this up, like everything else, and I can always discuss if.
I understand.
I would say-
You're basically, representative, you're not the authority that makes all the decisions.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Yes.
But I will respectfully ask on red flag days if, say such time that we can consider that. As a, you know,
But at the same time, okay, then, I think, the other fourth item here is the public can provide an updated management contact list for the deer.
which we did, yeah, took care of that.
So, and then there were some other comments on the access code that were presented to the deer. And they're giving permission to cut any locks or whatever.
Oh, yeah, we did, yeah.
There was quite a comment about discussing discussing having them meet more often with the public to see how things are going. Yeah, I don't know if any meetings have been planned.
As far as I'm aware, no, ever since the CP hearings have been happening, there's been no feedback either way, I believe. To my knowledge.
Okay, so I've gone through what Davis reported, and I think that is germane to this, and I don't want to speak for the entire committee because there's 6 people here, but I do want to bring up that I think it would be to our best interest to see if we can find a way to detect fires, especially if no one is at the site, if they erupt. They may or may not be in the landfill, okay? But that is an area that is susceptible to fire. And if you can ask the landfill personnel, the public, whether they can contribute to this method, that's great. But I think we should also forward requests to the county, to help support maybe an airborne fire department in some process that they can use. In lieu of the fact that currently we do not believe the Republic is going to be doing anything further than what they currently do. Does that sound fair to everybody here? And so I'm happy to pen something like that and forward it to Bailey. And then Bailey will with the planning. That's appropriate and acceptable to the committee. Okay. So 2 things are going to happen. One of them is that Paul is going to see if the Republic is interested in helping everyone with things. And the other thing is that I'll write a note stating that at the current time, we have no outside of operating time observation of that basically, and that it has the potential of having an ignition source. It's a low likelihood, it's maybe 1 fire a year. It's
I don't want any,
not a high likelihood.
I don't want any players.
Yeah.
I want 0, right? I want 0.
Exactly.
I just want to be a cause, I don't want to be a source. And that's any discussion on that. I'm not for fire, obviously.
But one thing that might be important from the standpoint of the public is if a fire does erupt in that area, it might be beneficial to know that it did not occur on the landfill.
I also want to make the point that the staff that reviewed, the county staff that reviewed our amendments and everything else during the CP hearing approved us with our fire expert testimony that there is a very minimal chance of fires, and they approved that. So I just want to make sure that
I think so,
everybody forgot about it.
not limit your liability to the fire to erupt.
Yeah, there's never a 0% chance of anything,
Yeah,
so.
so I'm just pointing out
Right.
that if a fire takes place, and if it's on the border of the landfill, you know, if a fire starts on my property, it's on the adjacent landfill, and it spreads, that's not the responsibility of the landfill. Okay, but if the fire started in the landfill and spread, then it would be. Okay, somebody's gonna have that kind of conversation in the event the fire takes place. And I'm just trying to recognize to the Republic that it might be to their benefit to avoid potential liability if they do not have anything.
Understood. Understood.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's perfectly fine to do that. Anything else on the fire? I think we've covered it well. I think we have maybe 2 action items left. There may be a third that's to find out from there if they want to provide some information about means to watch for fires.
I guess you might want to know what's the frequency of red flag days for you issue to indicate what kind of.
Especially red flag days, that would be, and when the duration.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
What is a good threshold for a red flag up there? Every place is different. I know in Southern California, it's 35 miles an hour, and I've experienced 80-mile-an-hour winds in that canyon, so
Yeah.
that's brutal.
I mean, who determines, I think it's Oregon Department of Forest Physics.
Without someone determines what is the threshold for that.
And we had dry lightning this last week. I don't know if that has anything to do with red flag days either.
Usually it's humidity.
Yeah, but I don't know if they call it red flag day if they think that we're gonna have dry lightning.
When you get warm and you drive down the humidity with the temperatures and or the wind, then yeah, you can potentially have a drive ID issue as well, I think,
Yeah,
especially up here, not so much, with locations.
all right. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any more comments on fire at this point?
Just for context, and it's in the notes here, but the fire said that there were typically about 10 to 12 red flag days a year.
10 to 12?
10 to 12.
How many, do we know how many we've had this year? I mean,
Where it goes.
zero.
Yeah.
It's been drier, I think, I don't know, first summer up here, but to me, this seems drier than what most people have said it happens, so.
Well, has the mayor notified you? Okay.
No, no, they have not.
We might want to comment on that too. And something B,
I think we're out there.
says Senate professional audio system.
That's been up there the whole time.
I hope you can still hear us, Charlie. Okay, she can.
Good.
Okay, great. Okay, so I've got a little work to do, which I'll be happy to do, which is have to make sure I know what I'm doing, and I think I do. But I'll take care of that after this meeting. And so you all. Thank you very much. We're blistering along here. It's 6:34, we're still ahead of schedule by far. Do we want to break now? Do you want to keep going? We might get done early.
I don't know.
Hand off the ice cream for everybody. Bad place. Okay, so let's see, updates from the subcommittee, please. At this point. And I think the odors and methane in Title V Permit Committee, which I believe I'm the sole person here on that. Jennifer's not here. Well, we met and discussed things we actually went up to the top of View, and you're in the dome I have up there to chat. And we discussed things, and we talked mainly about methane and odors, but not so much on the Title V. We're going to carry that out next. And then during that meeting, the discussion centered upon, well, how do we know where an odor is coming from? Is it the landfill, is it PRC, or is it some other source? And currently, we have no way of knowing. Because if an odor is reported, it's reported by the public because there's no sensors being used. And they don't know, all they know is they smell it. And then they described it on the sheet. And by the way, I did a Google search before I came in here to find out if it made sense how I could report an odor. And it seems to me like Google tells me where to go as it's on the landfill page. It doesn't look difficult. There's a form to fill out, and you just fill it out. So with regards to odors, it doesn't seem confusing or complicated to me. It seems like it's fairly straightforward to report. Okay, so the subcommittee, which is Jennifer and I decided that since we have no way of knowing where an odor comes from, we could fix that if we had detectors on the perimeter. Not that many, maybe 4 to 8 of them. And if those detectors could detect the things which exhibit odors. And then we could, by looking at the concentration of each of these, we can determine whether it's within the landfill or PRC region or not. Yeah. That's something that could happen. It may take a little bit more time to decide how much it might cost. And they don't necessarily need to be on the landfill property. It can be done externally.
So as someone who used to test flares and other with what's called continuous emissions monitoring systems. As someone who tests it, each analyzer is $30,000 to $50,000. They have to be calibrated every day. You have to know how to calibrate. You have to be certified and understand the methodology behind it. This is not something that anybody within Republic can do. I mean, I can do it because I'm still certified for another year. So you would have to hire someone externally to do that. You have to have a trailer. These trailers that we have at other landfills that the county pays for is usually $250,000 to $500,000 for each one.
Okay,
and that's the equipment rental, the trailer and maintaining it for about a whole year. It's about $500,000 for each one. Just to kind of give you kind of understanding. And then you have to understand where you're putting it. If you put it near any kind of traffic or anything, you're gonna get impacts from traffic, dust and everything. So they have to be out in areas that are not disturbed, or not, there's not gonna be a lot of stuff to be kicked up. Just as somebody who's
yeah, so it would cost about $8 million a year to,
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty close to paying what you want.
assuming everything is farmed out, as you mentioned.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, that discussion can also be carried on with Oregon State because they're actually certified for this stuff. So we can see if they're willing to contribute to such a test. It might be education. Yeah, so, but I don't know.
So I want to also discuss and talk about the complaint system. And I do agree that I get, and I've stated before, I get emails from DEQ week and a half later, and I keep pushing for the online. I didn't get those onlines. I even get to office at 5:30. If there's something waiting for me, or I have time, I send somebody else out within an hour once I get those. And I'm required by DEQ to reply to the person. And I'm also required by DEQ to submit the complaint that's on the Coffee Beat website. And also provide a response that I provide the complaint that if I smell anything. That's the quickest way, and I've responded to maybe a dozen over the last couple months. So but that's it. Most of this stuff comes through DEQ, so.
Okay, so the responses you do, you submit them to DEQ.
Yes,
You also send the response back to
the person, yes, to me, so I am,
the
yeah, so if Mary Smith, this address. Sends in if I pulled out a complaint saying 5:30, I smelled this. Okay, well, I'll try to go out and get to it as soon as I can.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some response delay. I'll go out, I'll get it, they provide their address. I go to their address, I can screenshot their house without the address or any personal information to protect their privacy, so it shows a timestamp. Or if there's no street name or anything, then if there's a street name, I'll take a picture of the street, show that I was there at that time, and then I will include that in my report back to them saying I arrived at this time, the wind speeds were this, out of this direction, so I carry an anemometer with me, and then I say, the only thing I smelled was fresh grass or whatever, and that's my report to them. And then I send that same report to DEQ later that day or whenever I get typed up.
Do you typically contact them?
I do not contact the person complaining or the person complaining. I don't want to step on private property and cause any issues, so.
No, you send them a response.
Yeah.
With the email.
Yes, I do not make contact with.
So you're saying that most of the complaints come through DEQ, not the.
Correct, yes,
So your method of Googling and searching, it seems straightforward, may not be really wrong.
Oh, yeah, well, Google Active was, how do I submit an order to complaint for a copy of landfill with the first thing it came up with.
The previous complaints were that no one was responding, but I've worked to change that to a positive response. Regardless of whatever I see.
But your responsible thing could be that the public is not aware of how.
Yes.
I think- And our job is in part to help the public understand how to do things. So I think we should do something about that. I think also we should investigate the cost of actually doing this automated system to see if that is feasible. Your information about the cost is great, really appreciate it. And I'm not, first of all, I'm not advocating that this is the requirement to be imposed upon the public. It's air quality, which is important to the county. So how it gets covered and where any funding and support comes from is up in the air, so to speak.
So it's up to the county to make that.
Yeah, it's up to the county to decide whether it needs to be done, and if it does, how. But I think Jennifer and I will continue on this process to see how we can do that, as well as the possibility of doing a few air samples and find out what is being emitted. Okay, we know something's being emitted, obviously stuff comes out of the landfill, it's no question. And from PRC. We don't have any, we don't know that there's any, evaluation of what comes out, beyond that. Okay, so it'd be nice to know, and most of the things are gonna be decomposition products, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, stuff like that. And that's kind of a method.
So
It should be nice to know.
if you reference the CUP documentation, there is an oil report in the CUP documenting what everything, all that is. So I don't, obviously I don't have that with me,
But
but
I'd be happy to read through it. I have not yet.
okay.
And
It's somewhere in the 6,000 pages.
so if you can, that's okay. If you can forward,
I'd have to look for, oh, it's on the county website. So yeah, all that stuff is,
I just need to know how to get to it. I don't know.
yeah, if you go to the county website and you can look at the, there is a link that goes through all the days of all the testimony, everything that was submitted, all the documentation. I've been to it, I can see it in my head,
Well, if Dale, if you can assist me to give me some kind of way to know where to go to get this, I'd really appreciate it. Because both Jennifer and I would like to look at that.
yeah, it was submitted as evidence.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So we came up with how we could do the analysis. And that's by taking some of their samples and doing them in her lab. Because they have the equipment appropriate to do the analysis. And then a report could be written, but it would be a sampling, it would not be continuously monitored. Just be a spot sample, maybe 4 times a year, just to get an assessment. And that basically would tell us about what we think is coming out of the landfill. And it'd be done like the wet season, the dry season, things like that. So that may happen, it may not. There was a comment to find out if there's any interest from the students at the university to do this kind of analysis, because it's right in their field. That's what they're studying to become, as environmental scientists. They would find this as a convenient way to do some analysis and learn about the field. So if that's the case, we may propose providing a stipend to a graduate student that's doing research in the field anyhow, to take information, data. If the Republic wishes to support this, then the data could be taken in the grounds of the PRC and the landfill. And if Republic does not wish to support this, it can simply be taken right outside of it.
We, safety reasons, we're not allowing the landfill. Not allowing the landfill, except for a cure. No, we're not gonna allow that. You can take them outside, but I'm pretty sure I'd have to pass it.
Okay, well,
Through legal sources and higher ups, but I can almost see the responses, no, you're not gonna. Unless it's a permit requirement. We can't take samples on the landfill property. You can take them outside, that's your right, down in public property, but you can't go on the private property.
well, I appreciate your position, but not. I think finding out what can be done.
Right, yeah.
Trying to say that one has to be on the landfill to take samples, because it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not really that.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood you. I thought you said go onto the land.
If Republic wishes to be a partner in this
Mhm.
study, then it would be ideal to take the samples on the property.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I don't.
If your response is you do not believe Republic would wish to be a partner.
No, unless it's a permit requirement and we follow all our permit guidelines the way we're supposed to.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the update. Yes.
The recent state bill that was passed and requiring
About
the
methane?
methane monitoring that often do, interface with what you want to monitor.
Well, the methane monitoring, if the bill, I believe, did pass, I believe that's
Yeah.
to be implemented. I believe that it is the responsibility, I believe, of the Republic to do that.
Are you talking about the bill that requires all landfills in Benton County only for drone? Okay, so yeah, so that's being reviewed and obviously DEQ has to write the rules and regulations for that bill. But we also need to understand, we're happy to try alternative technology for, we We tried rovers on the ground, but EPA does not recognize drones. So the question is do we have to do double the monitoring? Because EPA does not recognize drones. There's only one company that does aerial drones. What happens if they're not available to provide support for our quarterly monitoring, and then we fall out of compliance because we can't monitor? That's some of the issues that has to be figured out at the state level and at the EQ level for that to be recognized.
I'm not even sure when I think the legislation was passed, but I'm not sure when the date is of implementation.
I think it's like 26 or 27.
I think it's 27.
Yeah, when I read it, it said that it authorized the use of drones
Yeah,
and satellites to do
Yes.
measurements.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, whether or not that matters, from the standpoint of the EPA, because I'm not sure that this is an EPA regulation. I believe it's a state regulation.
correct, but
So it's fine for us to find out, but
yeah,
during that process, one should plan to conform to the regulation by 2027.
right. I agree. But we need to understand from our perspective that the EPA, we would have to do our surface emissions monitoring twice every quarter. That becomes now extremely expensive, and I stated it. First off, when we do a SEMS walk, like when we do our quarterly, that SEMS probe has to be within 2 inches of the ground surface as the guy walks in this grid. You cannot have a drone that close to the ground without damaging infrastructure. So what does that look like from the requirement perspective? Does the drone have to fly 10 feet above the surface?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot to figure out. We have to understand that from our perspective.
Well, the drone in this case would actually be but that's okay.
Area drone.
No, I'm not talking about aerial.
Yeah, well, they said aerial drone. They said aerial drone. That's what they want, is an aerial drone.
So, but I don't really want to discuss
Yeah.
these details. I'm pointing out is that it's in the legislation
Mhm.
and now, and as all legislation doesn't necessarily correspond to, it may or may not be feasible.
Mhm.
So you have to decide how you can comply with legislation when it becomes, and that's why they give you a year or two to get ready to do it.
Yeah, DQ still has to write all the requirements and limits and all that stuff for it.
January 27 is when it's supposed to be operational.
January 20. About a year and some months.
15 months.
Yeah.
15 months.
Okay, well, it's worth it to kind of think about how one might do it. And I believe it's doing something about satellite as well. Satellites don't have to be doing something ground. Okay,
But there's more to it. We can talk about that.
yeah, there's plenty in there. So that's methane only. You see, the stuff that Jennifer and I were discussing was methane is one element of the emissions, but there's several others, and you don't smell methane. So the odors are coming from something else. That odor detection is an art in itself and a science. Okay, I think we're done with the report on what's going on. The next steps that Jennifer and I are to do is to figure out, like I said, with a graduate student, we've already got one or two lined up that might want to do this project. And then also, we need to study the Title V permit, and we need to assess the cost and how one might go about monitoring the odors automatically rather than manually.
To your point, the Title V is in review for approval. So, the current Title V
Great.
is very old. And DEQ came back to us and asked us to run some calculations, and we have to restart this whole process over again. So,
We do, okay.
yeah, so that's going on right now. They missed something and we had to redo it. So basically we're restarting, you had to redo calculations and everything. So I have no idea when that new Title V comes out, so I just want to make sure you're aware that if you're going to review a Title V, if you're going to review the old one, that's not going to hold up to where we are.
Sure, but it might
So,
be good for us to review the old one just so we can learn how to review it practice.
but yeah, it's going to quite change probably 50%, just because of the language and how old it is, so I just want to make you aware.
Yeah, that's sweet, thanks. Okay, groundwater initiate team.
Yeah, so Charlie and I are here and Dave wasn't able to make it today. We had a meeting with Seth Sadowski of the Board of DEQ and Dave had written up a report, I think he presented sort of the details of that last time about just sort of the overall monitoring of the groundwater, the age of the wells, the quality of the wells, and whatnot. And so we reviewed that with Seth. And he received one clear and we've through the entire report that we got to be reviewed. And not that he said he would do anything in particular, but he at least had our inputs. And then he brought up during that time that he was currently under review of a revised well monitoring program from the public that we hadn't heard about. And so we're requesting a copy of that from the DSAC.
I wonder if that's part of the CP revised, I'm not sure. We're not, the only well stuff that we're proposing is for the expansion. So I'm very interested to know about some revision. Well,
He said he said he's in the process of reviewing it already. So I don't know we don't know what it is. We're requesting a copy so we can actually review it as well.
Wonder if it's the annual monitoring plan that we submit.
Sounds like.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Follow copy too.
Well, we don't have it, so Bailey was gonna make the request.
Yeah.
Seth.
I'm wondering if it's the annual groundwater monitoring plan and or everything we do.
Yeah, maybe the terminology was revised, but maybe it's annual.
It might be the annual because we just submitted that several months ago. I think you got a copy of that as well, I think, or that comprehensive report.
Right.
So that's probably what it's like 1,000 pages, so.
I'll let you talk with Seth and see what.
Yeah, I've put in the request. I think tomorrow's gonna be 2 weeks, so I'm gonna send them another nudge.
Okay.
It's on their radar.
And
So
so
we didn't provide any information. He just said he's reviewing a report.
he just said he's reviewing a revised monitoring
Okay,
plan,
okay.
and that was news to all of us.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I have something to add to this. I just want
And
to.
so I believe we presented the report that Dave helped to generate me at least last time. There's all the details in front of me, but that's about the extent of our update at this point. We're waiting to see if there's a revised thing, and also if there were any changes. I guess if you have a new monitoring program, are you changing anything based on any inputs that they provided during that meeting out of?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's not revised. I mean, every year we go through it, so it could be a revision as.
It was like terms, not.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I'd like to know if that's maybe just nomenclature, thing, so. As far as the groundwater goes, I did. It's through the CUP hearing, we brought in more people to help understand all the questions and concerns about groundwater during the CUP hearing. And I did ask one of the groundwater experts if he wanted to speak to this group. He's not registered in Oregon, but he was part of the support team. He's the senior vice president of GLA. And I have to dig into some stuff, but he's willing to talk, but I need to confer internally. But if you're curious of what is going on, he's basically going to speak to the same information that he provided at the CUP hearing about all the groundwater wells, all the arsenic concerns, all the data. That's all part of our CUP submittal package, so.
I think Dave's main point was just to take an overall look. Here you have these wells, here are the age of these wells,
Right.
and here's the process to dip and get water samples out of Soap Creek.
Yeah.
Maybe some of those aren't, maybe they need to be validated that this well is still functioning as desired.
And I believe all of it,
Waste, or
right.
maybe some new wells closer to maybe Wilson Reserve or a different method of.
Yeah.
Water in Soap
Yeah.
Creek.
and he provided all that information in the CUP hearing documents that he helped him and his team and he wrote.
Okay.
Just so that's another thing as far as, David's point, is like if you go on to, and you can download the packet online, and he does, there's quite a bit about all the groundwater wells. He reviewed all the data from multiple groundwater reports, any groundwater
Right.
reports. And he built a comprehensive
Yeah,
So he would speak to the same thing, but I just want to let this committee know that I haven't forgotten,
okay.
I'm trying to resolve that issue.
I would imagine Dave would have heard that testimony, or maybe he'd gone through it, and they wrote this report afterwards.
I can't speak to the timeline because I was at the CUP and.
Charlie has.
Can we just get a copy of that report? The whatever was presented to CUP from your outside hydrogeologist that,
It's on the county website under all the CUP documents.
I'll send out a copy to everyone.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, what else?
And that's it for,
Okay, any more comments on groundwater and leachate? Thank you very much. Okay, community development, community.
Do we want to talk about PFAS or?
Yep.
Did you miss PFAS or are you gonna come to that?
PFAS.
That's up top. Did we talk about the PFAS presentation and implications? Was that part of the community stuff or not? Is that?
I don't see
not
that
on the agenda.
Yeah, it's,
We're looking,
oh, no, I'm sorry, because I,
We can talk about PFAS.
it's the stuff that it was on your stuff that you emailed, I believe.
Okay, well, let's
You
go
know,
through-
Jennifer Fields did a presentation on PFAS last time. Maybe that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, that's why I'm looking at it, but I apologize, okay, I
It's not a
thought.
problem.
It's been a little.
Did you have a chance to see the, you can review?
You know, the presentation, when it was converted to PDF, everything kind of overlaid on there, so it was really hard to.
Well, I can ask her to send you a direct.
Or something, yeah, I honestly with everything else going on, I completely forgot, but when I looked at it, it was everything somehow got scrunched and it was overlaid on each other.
If you have time, you might watch the recording of her.
Okay. Okay. There's just one thing that I want to clarify,
Sure.
and it's a little stuck in my crawl thing, and I apologize, but this statement that constantly comes up is landfill are long-term sources. That's the technical thing, but the sources, we're a passive taker. The PFAS comes from
Passive.
stuff you wear, the stuff you eat, everything else. Yeah, we're a focus source, but we're not a producer of it. I just want to make sure there's some
Oh, yeah.
understanding. Okay, because people keep saying we're a source and we're a producer, and it frustrates me because everything that we bury from your trash has PFAS in it, the backpack, this, everything. And so it's unfortunate that it gets concentrated at the landfill, but people are combining source and producer. And they kind of intermix those. And I just want to make sure that this community is very intelligent, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands
yeah,
that this distinction, that's all.
Sure, the.
Yeah.
The polyfluorinated aromatic substances.
Yeah, that's good.
They're not being synthesized at the
Yeah.
landfill.
Yeah,
They're already in existence.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
just another good analogy, you're not alone there because everybody's wash machine in our houses are doing the same thing with all the sports gear and everything else.
Yes, yeah.
So we try to distribute a little away from.
Anyhow, so the. Okay. thank
Yeah,
you.
no, I just,
We
yeah.
kind of went on a side rail, so let's go back to the committee and then we can talk more about that later if we want to. Okay, so go ahead, Steve.
Okay, so I analyzed the 2024 community concerns and report. And I wish that there was a pie chart giving you the source of the comment. So I had to do that myself. And here it's itemized by how many came from what source. And Paul's right, that 50% of them are coming from DEQ. So
Okay.
people are commenting to DEQ. And then DEQ is sending those to the public.
Mhm.
So that's pretty interesting. That most people are choosing to go to DEQ to make their comment.
And a lot of times when they make a comment, it just says landfill stinks, lives 4 miles southeast of landfill. that's it.
Right, it's not
It's,
specific.
it's,
Yeah.
and I really push specificity
Yeah,
to use the landfill website, so I can do my job and
right,
go and investigate.
right.
Four and a half miles southeast of landfill, that's a huge part.
And DEQ does not send those to you the same time.
No, but last week they sent them to me almost the same day, which was quite shocking when I was like, I looked at September 5th, and I'm like, this is September 6th, what? But still, it's a day later, and I have to backtrack, what was the wind direction, and that's why I looked at National Weather Service wind, I look at our local wind and, wind direction, and so I make all the scientific determinations, but a day late, I can't do anything.
Right. Right. And so, if you look at the comments that were sent to DSAC chair, DSAC meetings, emails, and that doesn't say who those were emailed to in the report, just I assume they're to the county. And calls, and that doesn't say who the calls are to, that's 44% of the comments that were in that report. Bailey, you had replied to my June 10th subcommittee meeting that 80 to 90% come to the county, but that's not how the report comes out.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at it that way. That's good to know.
These individual categories. Republic had 11 out of 233, which was 4% of that whole report, were sent directly to the public, according to the report. And then it had a name, like Republic, and then it had a person's name. I thought that was the person they were reporting to, but evidently that was the person who made the call on our report, which I don't know that we should be putting people's names in there, but, so that was confusing. I thought it was going to all these different people in the public.
Is that the one that said remote service received 11 concerns via telephone?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of confused. I'm like, are they calling and leaving a message? Because I don't get messages via phone. I mean, I've got some calls recently asking about the blasting and that's it, but
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I'm just curious. Oh, yeah, okay. But so there's just, it's very vague, basically.
Very vague.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Okay.
And then there were 2 letters in the GT and one letter I assumed to DSAC or didn't.
What is GT?
Because at that time,
Oh,
a
okay.
local newspaper,
Okay.
nobody reads.
The local memo.
So, like you were saying, you prefer the Coffee Butte website for people to post comments.
Mhm.
And so when Bob and I met with Julie, we talked about, it's really pretty easy to find if you know to go to the Coffee Butte website and not the Republic website. And then, at the top, there's operations, and then you can find the odor complaint. We would like to change it to just a concern, a general concern, which could include odor. And then, Julie says that is checked every day.
Yeah, as soon as someone clicks on that link, there's that information. I don't know if have you ever clicked on a link and seen what's there. It's like a name, an address, the time, everything else. As soon as you hit submit, it comes to a Coffee Butte website or the email address, which I have, and there's many of us that have that it'll pop up in our mailbox, and so I'll see that. And I'll see that right away. So there's no delay. Now, if you put a report in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon saying for this morning, I smell something. At 4 p.m. I really can't do anything to go out and investigate. 12 hours later,
So it sounds like what we want to do is provide some information to the community that the best NDQ, that the best way to voice a concern is on the Coffee Butte website. And when DEQ forwards you, or does it look like forwarded directly? to you?
Yeah, they go directly to me.
And then are they forwarded by the same person all the time?
Correct.
And who is that person?
Laura McWard,
Laura.
MC WHORTEI. I believe,
Or
I might recorder, I might be butchering that, yeah.
Okay.
And so when I replied to her on my cover letter. It said, so when I respond to them, the DEQ will then send that response, I believe, to the person. Someone will call and say, obviously when you, let me back up, sorry. When you go to Copy Me website, it asks for your name, the address and everything, okay? But when they call, they may give their address, their name and all this, but all I get is the day, the time, and a basic quote of what they stated on the recording. Because it's a recording and so someone checks the recording and transcribes that information. So it may have their name, their address, but I don't see that, or their email address. However, I believe DEQ, when I send them back my response from the emails that they give me, on my cover letter, I have it highlighted and underlined, hyperlinked, the copy link. Every person that has called DEQ to file a complaint receives that letter back, my response with that link, so they know it's there. But and those are the people that generally complain. It doesn't go for everybody locally per se. So the people who complain and get that response, gets my response back, DEQ sees that link on that page.
So I think it's gonna take some education to DEQ to encourage people to go to the Copy Me website. They can file with DEQ if they want, but then they should also do it with Copy View.
Yeah, and sometimes they do both,
Because
which really confuses
it's
me
a-
because,
It's a timely issue.
yeah.
And it also double counts a complaint.
Yeah, double counts complaint. So there's several individuals that I get a copy view complaint.
Yeah.
And then Laura will send me a complaint. Hey, this is the same person that said they went sending something copy view and they haven't heard anything back. I just haven't had a chance to reply. It's been a couple days, but they'll file a complaint on the copy view, then they'll call DEQ and file the same complaint. So it doesn't come to, I know.
Well, I don't know what we can do about that.
They're not. That was not, it was just a statement.
Timestamp in person.
Yes.
I mean, the important thing is to get it to you in a timely manner.
Yes.
And so that's our goal.
Diane, do you want me to tell you the email I sent and what I've requested after our meeting and conversation?
I need to just who's chatting.
That was Julie Jackson. I mean,
Julie Jackson is not on there.
She's on our subcommittee.
So after our meeting, I sent an email to the folks who handle that website saying, one, we'd like a button on the homepage that says report a concern. The Copy View
Okay.
Copy View homepage. Then we talked, but I thought about it a little more. So there could be a button when you click on that, there could be a button that says report an odor concern or an other concern. So that we have two separate forms, because the odor one's fairly specific about what kind of odor it was and where, when.
And
it
it's
was
sort
smelled.
of built.
You know, we all looked at that,
Yeah.
yeah. So there could be a second button that's for other concerns, and that way we could keep those separate. But what if we had on that odor concern, what if we just had a box that says, have you reported this to DEQ?
That'd be good, yeah.
So maybe we could get gather a little more information that way. And then I asked them to give me some information about metrics and how we could track that by website. I haven't heard back from them yet, and in all transparency, I only sent it on Monday. So we'll see, but I will update that information too.
This sounds really good to do this. I would like to ask the committee if you think we should include some links on other pages to redirect people. DSAC and maybe the county, you know, we could even conceivably have the on the DEQ page actually have is this a complaint regarding the topic of the landfill? And it would redirect it just to the topic of the landfill page that would eliminate duplications.
If I can make a suggestion, because, you know, Paul and I get our feelings hurt really easily, so. We, you know, everything is sort of couched in a fairly negative, report a concern, report a complaint,
Sure.
report this. And I think maybe we could even say for more information, to find out more information about Coffee Butte, link our website, because there's a ton of more information on that website besides just being able to report a complaint. And I think it's a real source of information for folks, but they haven't been directed to it very much.
So I'm on your website right now. I'm trying to find where I'd report anything.
Did you go to Coffin Butte landfill?
And I'm trying to.
Click on operations right now.
Oh, I gotta go on. Okay,
If you
so
click on operations, you'll find it, but what we suggested as a result of our meeting was that there be a button on the homepage, so you didn't have to know to go to operations.
okay,
So I'll see what
let's
this,
note about report.
So then we have the 44% of the ones that are coming to the DSAC chair, the DSAC meetings, emails, calls. I don't really understand these ones that went to the DSAC chair. I guess that was an email or a call and
This was for 2024, wasn't
for
it?
2024.
there's a lot of backup.
It was a lot.
So, yeah, I think if they go to the DSAC chair or the DSAC committee member, it's kind of our obligation to connect it to the Coffee Butte site.
Mhm.
They may collect data and then just submit it for the person or tell them to do that. I don't think we should be the source of the information so much as get the information directly to the, to Paul to take action.
I think it's more critical, sorry, to send to county than send to DSAC, or am I mistaken?
But
For these complaints, wouldn't it be more prudent to direct the county rather than the DSAC chair?
It would be more prudent if we were to you.
I think
Right, but a lot of times, he sends me questions that come from the county or from
okay,
concerned citizens, and I'll respond when I have the opportunity with what I can. So he usually sends them out, he filters a lot out. I don't know what, but I get questions from him, for, hey, I got an email from a concerned citizen about this. And I will collect the data and I'll reply to him, so that's what I'm saying is. Would, because you said you didn't know about the DSAC chair received 58 concerns. Instead of inundating the DSAC chair, wouldn't it be prudent to go through the county as a matter of record, since there's quicker communication? I don't know. What's the
okay,
best?
well, okay, so if you go to any event, and then eventually somebody finds out, like, you're a medical doctor. You find out about everybody's pains, right? Okay, so the same thing is here.
Okay,
They find out that we're on this committee and they say, oh, it stinks, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but we can't really even know if they're talking about the landfill, because they don't know.
right, okay.
And it'd be better if we redirect everybody to, there's a form there you can fill out. And you can do it, and I don't necessarily say, well, I'm gonna send it to Bailey to then tell them to do the same thing. No.
Oh, I see your trend.
So,
Okay,
people will send things wherever they feel they can get some kind of action taken. And if they, but at the same time, I was gonna mention that it might be to our benefit to be aware of what's been done since the last meeting at each meeting, so like, if you get a bunch of commentary, it'd be nice if we had a summary, or maybe we're linked on somehow on the event, so we know what's going on. That's I do that best, but I'm thinking that it keeps us all aware.
Well, those are the metrics we're gonna try to gather
Yeah,
from the website, because as Paul sends back a reply, we should be able to track,
yeah, in fact, with
I think.
if you can find a good software design, which is hard. They could actually add up all this stuff and get a summary for us,
Yeah.
using very simple software. That give us an assessment.
And you said that you had so many this month?
like September, I've had 2 this month. I had maybe 5 last time. 5 minutes correctly.
that
And I
came
don't want
from
to
the-
have on your memory
I mean, we track them, we log and track them, I mean, we submitted reports.
Great.
Annual reports and everything, so yeah, they're trackable, we track all the complaints, so.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see more of them once it starts raining.
All of the complaints that the county receives are included in the meeting packet that you have. I think there were maybe two. The last one, so that's since our July meeting.
So, you're you talked about what's going on with the committee and you have specific things to do.
Yes,
And are you taking this action then forward or what's going on?
yeah, so Julie's working on the website,
Great.
we will contact, Laura at DEQ and see if we can, get them to start, sending people to the Coffin Beat website. And then, Bailey, can somebody add that to the DSAC website and the county website?
People to go to Republic, yeah, it is on there, and I'll take another look at it and see where it's located. And just also I was gonna add, whenever I get a call or an email, I always direct them to the Republic site and recommend that they fill it out there as well.
The DSAC.
Or often, yeah. And yeah, so that they can receive the complaint sooner than in the batches that I send them over. So that kind of goes to Julie's point earlier that there's probably some double counting because every time I get a complaint, I say you should also tell Republic. So it could be that they're duplications.
I think Bailey, this is Charlie talking here. But I think that Bailey's concern about like saying Republic rather than Coffin Butte landfill is gonna not have people go to the website. And I think that when there's a concern, because I went to Republic Services website, it does not take you to Coffin Butte landfill. That site is hidden. So unless you know there is a Coffin Butte landfill, I just went to the Republic Services site. And you kind of have to specifically let people know that they can use the Coffin Butte landfill.com. That's a very good site. And there's some minor spelling stuff. I'm just going to say it's not confin on the odor concern. And I agree with Julie that it needs to be a little bit more easy for people to find it. But it's a really nice site compared to the Republic Services site. And it's harder to get from the Republic Services site to specifically Coffin Butte landfill. That's all.
And we have a link on the Republic for Dallas website to the Coffin Butte. So I don't think there already is, but I will double check that. Because absolutely.
This is a great conversation. I was going to mention also that there are people, believe it or not, that don't know that the landfill is on Coffin Butte. They just know it's a landfill.
Right.
So we need to ensure that if somebody wants to talk about odors, they kind of get directed in the right direction. I'm not really sure how to do that, but that's another potential problem.
Well, I think social media is another great place to post it.
Yeah, I think maybe
Next door.
next door, and there's several of those for the area.
Yeah.
It'd be beneficial. We need to have what's posted there appropriate. So you guys, I think, should put together what you want to post.
Yeah.
And then have it done.
And it has to be ready. Before
Yeah.
advertise it.
Yes, exactly.
Well, they can go to coffinbeat.com. Right. It can only be a vote.
I think your work in your committee is very essential to our county, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Anything more on this committee's commentary?
Well, just on the back, we just sort of had some page organized, kind of came to some, that having an audit trail was key, because I think we can just feel confidence that we're seeing everything. I think some people report to DEQ because they might think that it's not gonna be documented, and so And then have initially, maybe just have a report come back to DSAC at our meetings and here's what we captured and maybe that's how the feedback gets back to the community.
Mhm. Yeah, it should be nice to have a report with every meeting, to see what's
Like a
coming.
metric support.
Yeah.
We kind of talked about that a little bit before, but it's really beneficial for everybody to keep track and we don't rely on memory alone. That's why it's good to have something, some hard facts, because memories can vary. Thank you. Where we went through the committee meetings. Okay, at this time, did you want to have any further discussion on PFAS? You did bring it up.
No, it was just that I had printed out the stuff just to go over all the stuff and it happened to be a different document that. So, yeah, I just.
Yeah,
It's been a while. So,
This is a good time for me to bring it. There's another concern that is, anybody, it's a landfill, people throw away medical stuff. That's not PFAS, but that, of course, makes it through
Yeah,
and gets into the environment as well.
so all medical waste is and has to be autoclaved.
It's supposed to.
It is autoclaved, yes, there are special ways.
No, but I mean,
There,
somebody throws.
My residential tract
Box
is
of
going
pills
out.
in a garbage can.
That's what he said.
It's not,
right,
yeah.
but that's why we have liners, so they do not make it outside into groundwater or anything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And to be honest, what comes out of the water treatment plant in Corvallis is the major source of those materials and. That's what goes to often do.
Yeah.
City of
The
Corvallis
comment
is a
that's
huge contributor.
is that medical waste is coming through the water system.
Well, PFAS
Public water.
and medicines, I would say. It's not medical waste, because that's a whole specific category, but
Yeah,
medicines, prescription medicine.
There's a class called pharmaceutical and personal care products, right, that get applied in that. Those are your plastic scrub beads that fish mistakes for cliches and they die, and then, but they develop macro molecules big enough to see under the microscope, these personal care, like you can't use.
Yeah.
All that doesn't go to landfill, that stuff comes from just from shower and everything else. And those are the biggest, that's a big concern because those can't be broken down and they can't be filtered out by water treatment plants. So there's a dual hit for the water system.
exactly. Thanks. Okay, so I will move on to the requests for agenda items and staff requests for next meeting. Anybody know agenda items for next meeting?
Just an update on the status of whatever this monitoring plan is that's revised or whatever.
Whoever hears about it, yeah.
So an update on. What is this?
Are we gonna receive, did we receive a monitoring plan for groundwater?
Okay.
Talking to you from the DEP. Is that a common practice if you do make an annual revision that DSAC gets to review that as well?
DSAC should I should be given all the reports, or county should be getting all the reports, I'm sorry, I'm a little behind. But they should be getting all the reports as we provide them to DEQ and upload them to YDO. Monthly reports, quarterly reports, semi-annual reports, and annual reports, they should be along.
The annual report, we talk about that.
Yeah, the annual report is.
Is the committee given anything prior to it becoming final? When
No.
you suggest something and it goes to DEQ and you guys go back and forth and say, okay, now we're gonna do this. We only get that.
No, once we finalize it and it's stamped, or if it's a professional geologist that is writing a report and I review it internally. And we approve it, it's stamped, and it's submitted to DEQ, because DEQ may have comments on it, they might kick it back. And to provide incorrect information is just not.
So once they finalize it, if the copy goes.
Yeah, once I upload it to DEQ, then it's technically finalized, so. I should be sending it to Bailey, all the reports, and he can provide the reports in summary or however, the request from DSAC, if that's.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Other agenda items to add. I think we should leave it open if somebody wants to after this meeting, but do you have something, Dave?
Well,
The board of commissioners asked, that the annual report, I think typically those come earlier, like in May or so.
I didn't know about it, and I apologize that.
But as it turns out, I think the commissioners aren't really in a space that they want to focus on that. They want to get through the landfill decision before. So the report to the board is going to be in early January.
Yeah, it should be January, once all the CUP stuff is done. So the 2024 annual report will be presented to VOC in January. And I will also probably present it in January. I'm not sure. We have to talk about.
November possibility. That's why I'm wondering about agenda items, because that could be.
Can I get back to you on that? I'm not sure where we are with that. I have to check, but
Say properly.
yeah, we're,
Okay.
because just,
There's a lot on the table right now.
yeah.
And I don't wanna promise something I can't deliver.
I think the process is that you present it to DSAC. DSAC gives any feedback,
Okay,
and then you can accept DSAC's feedback or not. And from there, it goes to the board.
Okay.
And that's when the presentation piece of it is.
can you give me a little bit? I'll talk about it internally. I'll give you an answer hopefully by the end of this week on that. Okay.
Looking for the 2024.
Yeah, it was supposed to be May. I didn't realize it until you mentioned it right in the middle of the I'm like, what? What? So I apologize. I wasn't aware of it.
Anything else?
And then we'll give an update on the website if you like.
Yeah, I think each committee is gonna give an update at the next meeting. So that's gonna be expected at least. Okay, so now I have one more thing, and that's next meeting and wrap up. So next meeting is what day, November 10th? I don't know.
Correct, it was just.
I think so.
Anyhow, it's November on a Wednesday.
November
Second
12th.
Tuesday.
November 12th.
Well,
Correct, that's Wednesday now.
Okay, fabulous. That's the last meeting that we currently have planned for this year. Okay, because we're now doing them every few months. And a number of the people on this moves into what I was going to find out. Rachel mentioned that our meetings have been showing up on the Denton County calendar. Has that been solved?
yes.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
This one was posted there last minute. I think it made it on there yesterday.
And then, and we heard about the 2024 annual report plans this time, so that's something that Rachel was also interested in. And the other point is that many of the committee members' terms expire at the end of this year. Okay, so that, well, we need each of you to decide whether you want to continue on the committee and let us know so we can let the commissioners know. Because otherwise they need to fill vacant spots.
There were two people, I think Charlie and Peter, because of the slots that you were filled. Yeah, it's 26, so it's 25 for everyone else.
And then, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that are, their terms end at the end of this year.
Is that the same for Dave Livesay also?
Yeah,
Because I know Steve started at the same time as Charlie, but he's.
right. It's just because of the slot that he was assigned.
Okay, so I don't need you to tell me.
Yeah,
I do realize they said no fact to probably myself and Rachel of your intention to be willing to serve a year.
Actually, I think it would be a 2-year
2 years.
appointment if you renew.
Last thing mine expires too.
Yeah, you can tell me when you intended to be.
You said-
There should be a little infinity.
It's been, well, I'm gonna ask that, I think it should be sent to the chairman of the committee, that's in favor. Or do you want to hear, how you know?
I am also, of course, interested. Yeah, because we're gonna need to do some recruiting, most likely.
That's sent to the chair and copy,
I think so, yeah.
and we won't be worried about whether you're gonna serve them. Again, you have,
Unless I was fired or something happened.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. Sorry first.
okay, anything else anybody wants to be? Otherwise,
Would you remove that, this is unexcused for today?
Oh, I'm sorry.
yes. Okay, so with that, I'm happy to accept a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. All in favor of adjournment?
Yes.
Motion carries. We finished. Thank you very much. Thank you, Charlie.
Bailey.